figure out the right angle here. Okay. Perfect.
Hi, everybody. Rosalie Boetti here from Keller Williams Real Estate, Pocono Market Center. Today, I'm joined by my friend and colleague, Robert Hoffman. Thank you,
Hello.
Robert, for joining me.
Hi, Rosalie. Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Well, we wanted to talk a little bit today about sellers. We both work with sellers all the time, and the things that we used to be able to do before, we're not able to do right now because, of course, we're all being safe. We're all working from home, and we're following the stay-at-home order. But there are lots of things that a seller can do now to get ready to put their house on the market for when we are allowed to go back out. And sellers do need to sell and buyers do need to buy. So this actually is just a little pause and we will get moving pretty quickly. So where before we used to go to the homes, we would meet with the seller, we would talk about what their plans were, and generally just review a marketing plan, talk about pricing and things like that. But we're not able to do that now. So, Robert, what are some of the things that you've been doing as far as talking to your sellers?
Well, I'm just trying to, I think what people really value now more than ever is just staying informed, knowing what's going on, understanding, just having expectations that are realistic. I mean, right now we're very limited. We can't physically host a showing. We can't allow showings on our listings. So number one, sellers need to be aware of what's going on and how restricted we are. As far as what we can do, if it's a home that is occupied, maybe there's a way that we could get the seller to do a virtual showing. Maybe somebody might appreciate that. Maybe you have a little bit to add to that.
Yeah, I mean, right now, people more than ever are shopping from home. So they're going to take that virtual tour. Many of the sellers are providing us not only with photographs and the measurements and the description of their home, but they are also very willing to do virtual tours. Some of them are able to do it themselves, and sometimes there's a camera out now. I'm not real familiar with it, but I know some of our colleagues are using it. It's called a Matterport, and it's like a 360 video. And it really gives us a great perspective of what the home looks like and the flow of the home. I don't know if, sellers have access to that or not. I do know that there are some home inspectors. One of our in-house inspectors, Andrew Niveld from Pillar to Post, he actually has a 360 program that he offers as part of his home inspection at no additional cost. So even something like that is worthwhile.
Yeah, that's fantastic. It's a great way to showcase a property for sure. I know that there are some realtors that use that, and it's a pricey system, but when they've got set up with it, it really does a nice job of giving a virtual tour through a home in a way that somebody that's shopping on the internet can easily navigate through the home and see what they're looking at. They get to see the floor plan. It's really done nicely.
Yeah. And with that, buyers are having a first-time view from home. They always have, but now more than ever, they're saving all of the prospective homes that they want to look at. And with those tours, they're able to be as soon as we get the okay, they're going to be the first ones in there. So it's my belief that the houses will sell that much quicker once we get the go-ahead because buyers are just waiting.
Yeah, and that's another great point. I don't think, none of us have a crystal ball. We don't know what's going to happen in the future, but we do know that going into this, demand was very high. Homes were selling very quickly when they were priced right. On average, things were on the market for about 100 days going into this in February. That's very strong. Inventory was down at about 4 months. It was very clearly a seller's market.
Yes.
I think what we'll have here at the end of this is again, nobody can really predict what's going to happen, but I would think that it's reasonable to assume that demand is going to remain strong. I'm seeing a lot of demand now, and I can't show homes. I'm
Right.
seeing more demand now. I'm getting more calls on listings that really didn't get a whole lot of attention going into this. I think that that's in part because people might be looking to get away from the more congested cities and maybe look at the Poconos as the place to have like a little safe haven and to get away from things. I would imagine that would account for a lot of the demand as we come out of this, but
Right.
you never know.
Right. No, I agree. I absolutely agree. So some of the things that we can do right now for our sellers and our buyers, because when we work with sellers, we attract buyers. So we work with both. But just the way we would meet in person before, now we can arrange for virtual meetings just like we're doing today. All you need is an iPhone. Give us a quick tour of the home. We can do all the pre-listing, do all the legwork ahead of time to get sellers ready. And then with that, we can think about our pool of buyers that do want to come in, and we do attract many buyers. Also, what about a pre-inspection, Robert? What's your experience with that?
A pre-inspection, quite frankly, I've never been able to have the opportunity to do that. I can see the value in it, and I can see why I suggest it occasionally. Particularly if it might be a general way of telling a seller that there might be some things that need to be done, and to help them prioritize. And in many cases, maybe somebody knows what needs to, or has a good feeling for some repairs that need to be done. But if they bring in an outside inspection service and they're really going to give them an official report on things, much like they would give to a buyer, that's valuable. At a very low cost, you get a independent opinion on things that needed attention.
Right.
And then you get the opportunity to get a jump start on that. And this would be a great time for somebody that knows that they want to sell to get that kind of an opinion, so that they can get to work on those things now before they put it on the market.
It's absolutely a perfect time to do that. And even as a homeowner, with the best intentions, you don't always know what little things might be wrong with your home. I mean, it could be something so simple, but to a buyer, it might be a big deal. So by addressing some of those issues now, there'll be less negotiations later on.
That's a great point. A lot of times, even with my home, I probably don't see the cobweb that hangs down because I walk past it every day, and that just spills over into all kinds of things. There's a lot of things in my house that might jump out at somebody as they're walking through it for the first time that I just don't see because I'm here every day, and
and so many times a change, an improvement to a home, it could be the smallest thing, but it may ultimately bring a huge return as far as dollars goes. So if your home hasn't been painted for many years, or perhaps it's painted in the colors of your children's rooms and now they've grown up, maybe your home, a quick coat of paint, a neutral color, will definitely bring you more money in return when you sell the house, because it's something less that the buyer has to worry about.
Yeah, I mean, another great point. If you were to bring in somebody like that, you paid them a couple of $100 to do an inspection. They gave you some great tips on some things that could use some attention, and you spend a little bit more money and you dress it up, and that gets you a much bigger return in the way of a sales price. It's and maybe it'll even sell quicker.
Absolutely.
And then you just win.
Yeah,
and that's really what it's all about. These are great ideas, Rosalie.
And what are some of the things that you recommend to your sellers to take care of? And even before this all happened, I tend to tell my sellers, make the house spick and span clean. Even if you have to hire an outside company to come in, because people buy clean. you can change an old carpet, put another carpet in, but you don't know. Maybe the buyers want hardwood floors. So the one thing that I always recommend is spick and span clean. What's your recommendation, Robert?
Well, yeah, nothing will turn somebody off quicker than an odd smell or a house that doesn't look, cleaned up and dressed up nicely.
Mm-hmm.
People make their opinions pretty quick going through a house. And so likewise, you want to have some really good pictures. We want to have that cleaning done and have it kind of staged as best we can before we even photograph it. Because in a lot of ways, the photographs that people look at online are really their first showing.
That's
And
right.
they kind of make up their mind by looking at those pictures on whether or not they want to go and see your house.
Mm-hmm.
So we want those pictures to really pop.
Mm-hmm. And for homes that are vacant, we are able to do virtual staging as long as we disclose that. So we put a picture of the room with nothing in it, and then we post a picture of it with the virtual staging. And it's my understanding and my belief that people can visualize a home or a room better once they see it staged, even if it's just a virtual staging. And then those houses tend to sell quicker.
Yeah, I think you touched on something there that's really important. You really need to disclose that kind of thing, because
Yes.
if somebody's looking at pictures and they see, this, it looks one way in the pictures because it's got all this furniture in it, and they can visualize it, and that really does help for a lot of things, and we can talk about that. But you also don't want that shock that when they come in there and they see that it's empty and it's just a lot different than what they were expecting or the way
Right.
that they remembered it.
Right. And we don't want to, put pictures in there of a home when it, from 20 years ago when it was brand new, and
Yeah.
perhaps it needs a lot of work now, all these years later. So we don't want to mislead anybody, because right away they'll walk into the house, they'll be disappointed, and not a good showing.
Yeah, I mean, a good analogy might be if you were going to go on a dating site maybe and put a picture of yourself up there from 20 years ago. It's
Yeah.
a little misleading, and we don't want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, this is really great information. I want to just stress to sellers and buyers out there that we will be getting back to normal, hopefully soon. We want to be able to help as many of our clients as we can, keeping in mind that safety is the most important thing. Of course, reach out to us, Robert Hoffman. I'm Rosalie Boetti. We're out of Stroudsburg, Keller Williams. Certainly reach out. Thank you, Robert, so much for joining me today. It's
Well,
been
thanks for having me, Rosalie. It was nice
yeah,
talking to you. I'm sure we could talk for a lot longer about this kind of stuff,
absolutely.
but I
Yep.
appreciate keeping it brief. And
Well,
anybody out there, feel free to reach out to either one of us.
thank you. Thanks again, Robert. Have a good day, everyone.
All right. Take care.